Hello everyone, my name is Justin and this is my channel, No Signal Lazarus. We will continue on with Geronimo's story in The Mystery in Venice. Finally, after a few more snorts into my extra pokerchief, too bad I hadn't brought a third, Hope explained that Arnie was a terrible glassmaker. Me too, I exclaimed. You should see the mess I made downstairs in the shop. I think your uncle is going to fire me. Probably, Hope agreed. That's what happened to my poor Arnie. My uncle kicked him out right on his tail. He says I can only marry a rodent who is an expert glassmaker, so he can take over the business someday. It's so unfair. I love Arnie, and I want to marry him. I nodded sympathetically as she continued. I locked myself up in this attic so my uncle will know how serious I am about Arnie, Hope added. She gave me back my sopping pokerchief. I coughed and felt a tickle in my nose. Did you ever notice that when you are trying not to do something, like sneeze, you sometimes feel like you can't stop it from happening? I promise to help you, I told Hope, wiggling my nose. But you must promise that you will stop crying and go do something fun with your friends. Everything will be okay. Achoo! At that moment, I let out a sneeze so powerful it shook the room. Since I had no pokerchief, I had to blow my nose in my sleeve. How embarrassing. But I didn't have much time to think about it because, just then, a voice thundered from downstairs. Who made this mess? I cringed. Old Sharp Whisker was in the house and he sounded less than happy. Yep, even though I had solved the mystery in Venice, I had a terrible feeling my troubles were far from over. Unfortunately, I was right. The minute I went downstairs, Sharp Whisker pointed at the lumpy pile of glass I had created. You're fired, he screeched. He probably would have thrown me out the door by my whiskers if it hadn't opened at the exact moment. The rodent who came in looked closely with an expert air at my misshapen pile of glass. What an unbelievable sculpture, he murmured. It's a modern masterpiece. I'll buy it. Old Sharp Whisker charged the guy a fortune for the lump of glass. I tried to slip away, but I was too slow. Sharp Whisker grabbed me by the ear. Get back here, he yelled. As soon as the customer left, old Sharp Whisker stuck his snout in my face. Get to work, he thundered. I want 20 more of those horrible modern sculptures. Got a fuzzball? I tried to protest, but Sharp Whisker just rolled his eyes. I just rehired you, and already you're complaining, he squeaked. Then he began to count his money. What a fool, throwing away all this money for a pile of junk. He could have bought 3 of my beautiful gondolas, but who cares? Money is more important. Suddenly he looked over to the shelf of the trophies and medals I had seen earlier. He rubbed his paws together, smiling at a photo of a gleaming gondola on the water. With the money I make out of your ugly creations, I can repair my beautiful gondola and win race again, he squeaked. But then he dissolved into tears. Here we go again. I groaned inwardly as the waterworks started. What was with this family? They all cried like fountains. I passed the distraught mouse my soaked pokerchief. Now what's wrong? I asked him. Well, I have the money to fix my gondola, Sharp Whisker said, sniffing. But I don't have a crew anymore. I fired them all. What a bunch of complainers. Especially that Arnold character. He was always making cheesy eyes at my niece. Still, it would be so great if I could win the next race. Just then I came up with a fabulous idea. If I can win the race for you, will you do something important for me? I asked. The big mouse looked me over. He touched my puny bicep. He stared at my drooping shoulders and flabby belly. Then he said, You're a mess, but I'm desperate. It's a deal, Fuzzball. He grabbed my paw and gave it a bone-crunching shake. The minute I had agreed to the deal, I started to regret it. Why was Sharp Whiskers so quick to accept my offer? Something didn't seem right, so I asked, "By the way, when is the next gondola race?" I was hoping he would say it was sometime far away, like maybe never. Instead, he said, "It's exactly 6 days, 15 hours, 12 minutes, and 10 seconds from now. So you better start practicing. And you better not make me look like a fool, or you'll be sorry." I cringed. Oh, why do I always get myself into these ridiculous situations? Of course, I didn't know the first thing about racing a gondola. I didn't even know how to row. But if I won the race for Sharp Whisker, he would have to do what I asked. And I was planning to ask him to let Hope and Arnold get married. Too bad I had no chance of winning. I stuck my paws deep in my suit pockets and pulled out my cell phone. Right then I got an idea. Quickly I sent a text message to my friends in New Mouse City. SOS, meet me at Sharp Whisker's House of Glass in Murano, Italy. GS. The next day at sunset, I left the shop and went to the dock where Sharp Whisker's gondola was anchored. It was an old, peeling mess. Even worse, the boat was sucking in water like my uncle, Adventure Mouse, after his 3-week excursion through the desert. Alarmed, I glanced around at the other racing boats that were docked next to Sharp Whisker's boat. Not only were they beautiful, but they were in tip-top shape. I began to sob in desperation. Oh, why do I always get myself into these ridiculous situations? Right then a familiar voice interrupted my crying jag. "What's with the waterworks, Germeister? You're such a crybaby." I turned to find my cousin Trap laughing at me. Next to him stood my sister Thea, my nephew Benjamin, Petunia Prettypaws, and her niece, Bugsy Wugsy. "We're here to help," Uncle Geronimo squeaked Benjamin. I was so happy to see my family and friends, I hugged everyone. Then I told them all about my adventure so far in Venice. I explained about the big race that was to be held the following Sunday and about my plan to convince Sharp Whisker to let Hope and Arnold get married. "What a romantic story," Petunia and Thea whispered. Trap just rolled his eyes. "I'm getting cavities with all of this gushing sweetness," he grumbled. A few minutes later, Thea got down to business. "Okay, everyone, there's no time to stand around shooting the cheese. We got work to do. We've got to get in shape for the big race." She pulled a whistle out. "We'll begin with sprints," she squeaked. After 10 minutes, I crashed to the ground. Trap fell on top of me, then Benjamin, followed by Petunia, and finally Bugsy Wugsy. "Help!" I squeaked from underneath the pile of mice. Oh, what a disaster. If we kept going at this rate, we'd never make it to the race on Sunday. As soon as we untangled ourselves, I turned to Thea and said in my nicest voice, "I know we need to get in shape, but before we do that, I think we should find a new racing gondola. Then we can work out and practice rowing at the same time. Isn't that a great idea?" My sister looked insulted. Did I mention she likes to be the boss of everything? She shot me a look. I could tell she was about to give me a piece of her mind when suddenly a sleek gondola slipped into the canal. It was a vibrant yellow, and it was being rowed by none other than Hope Sharp Whisker. Hope rowed up to the dock and waved. "I heard about your plan, Geronimo, and I will do everything I can to help you win. Here, take this gondola. It was made by my Arnold. He's an amazing carpenter," she explained. I looked at the gondola. Hope wasn't exaggerating. Arnold truly was an amazing carpenter. It was exquisite. Before I could thank her, she took out down the dock. "I'm off to see my friends," she called back. "We are going to make you some fabulous uniforms." I smiled as Hope disappeared around a corner. She was such a different mouse from the one I had met in old Sharp Whisker's attic. She had changed from a total sad sack into, well, someone hopeful. I guess that just goes to show just how powerful love can be. And we're going to leave it out there for today. And I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye.